Hello, everyone. Kyle Constant, Digital Services Librarian at Trails Regional Library here again. Today we're going to be talking about Missouri Digital Heritage. Now, this is a site that is essentially a clearinghouse for a wide variety of materials, different primary resources, things like that, but they're not necessarily consistently stored or consistently indexed. So some of this, again, it's a local history collection. So similar to Ancestry, similar to Heritage Quest, the specifics of each individual resource are going to vary widely from one piece to the next. So it requires a lot of time to be really familiar with a lot of these things. And when you go from one to another, there isn't going to be a lot of consistency, as I said. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'm going to switch over. There we go. This is the homepage, and there's a link on our website to Missouri Digital Heritage homepage. And you can see there's a variety of different ways you can search the records. If you want to just use the primary or the main general search box, you can do that here. There's a slideshow here with some featured photographs from a variety of different collections. Each photograph is clickable. You can actually go directly to the photograph. Also, they have links in the captions of the photographs if you want to just see kind of what the collection is, if you're curious where it's coming from, that sort of thing. They also have down below here featured content, and they do have some video content. Some of it is produced here, and some of it is produced elsewhere, but it is all pertaining to Missouri history. They also include their latest updates. You can see a couple of these are colored differently because I've clicked on them and looked at them, and we'll look at a couple of those probably before we're done. But again, something that you should know is that I've done a little bit of research using this tool just to kind of familiarize myself with it. But it really is something, again, along with a lot of other local history resources, it really takes a lot of time. It really takes a lot of dedication, and no small amount of interest to really get familiar with a lot of these resources. But just starting out here, I'm going to do a quick search. This is kind of the most general way to approach this resource. So I'm going to do a quick search here for Johnson County. And then you can see kind of what the basic interface looks like and what you can expect to see when you're using the search tool here. So you can see over here on the left, this thing is still animating, indicating that it's still doing a search. And for some reason, when it hits a certain threshold, it tends to pop up and say, hey, there's more. There you go. There are more than, or there are 540 more results available. Do you want to include them or not? I assume that that's there just because if it's saving on your processing power. So if you don't want to include those and just do a different search because that's going to be too many results, then you can say don't include them and move on. Or you can go ahead and say yes, include these results. I'm going to include them just to show you the difference in the way that I search these. So I'm going to include them. You can see over here where it says all results, there are 1,308 records that include the words Johnson and county. Now, as with a lot of other search tools that use Boolean, that's a way of searching through a database. That's a type of language is Boolean. So this uses a lot of the Boolean search characteristics. So if I search for Johnson and county, it's going to come up with results of all of those terms. So here you see that it came up with the orange, the words in orange are matches. So it came up with Johnson and county. So this is a situation where, or this is an example of something that is not super useful to somebody who's looking for Johnson County materials, but it still comes up in a search using the terms Johnson County because this is Clark Johnson, and Arvid Owsley, and they are Jackson County sheriffs. So, and this is a resource from Harry S. Truman Library and Museum, and we'll look a little bit more at some of those things. But what I want to point out with this resource is that I was looking for Johnson County, and this is not something from Johnson County. It's something from Jackson County, but it comes up because this gentleman's last name is Johnson. So if I want to avoid things like that, I can come back up here, and this box is always up here at the top, so I can switch things around. I can put quotation marks around Johnson County, and that tells it that I only want the phrase Johnson County, not each individual word. And you can see that search was much faster, and my results are less than half. So I only have 600 results instead of 1,308. And that's because it's only showing me where those two words are together in a phrase, rather than Johnson being in somewhere in the text and county being somewhere in the text. So this is what a general search looks like, and something to point out: the stars here are meant to indicate relevance. So there's nothing in here that is actually a 5-star relevance, which is a little odd to me since they all say Johnson County, and some of them are even from demonstrably from Warrensburg or places within Johnson County, or they concern Johnson County. Johnson County might be in the title. So how exactly they determine the relevance is a little confusing to me, but nevertheless, you can see there are lots of different pieces of information here. You're only seeing 1 through 10 of 600. It's sorted by rank. Again, the relevance ranking there. You can, right now it's searching all collections. You can limit it to what you want it, what collections you want to be featured in here. For instance, the Missouri Digital Heritage hosted collections. So those are pieces of this total database that are only hosted through Missouri Digital Heritage. And I'll show you what that means and what the difference there is. But those are pieces of material that are actually from the Missouri Digital Heritage site. Whereas something like the Missouri Valley Special Collections from the Kansas City Public Library, that's going to take you to a separate site. Those materials are going to be actually hosted on someone else's server, but they are grouped in to these kinds of searches on the Missouri Digital Heritage site. So you can see this one says located in Missouri Valley Special Collections, Kansas City Public Library. So this is an example of one such piece of material that is from another site. So we click on that, opens up a new tab, and it says not available online, but we can get an idea what this means. So you can see this is actually Kansas City Public Library's website, their Missouri Valley Special Collections, and you can get some information about this material. And down here at the bottom, because it's not available online, you have information about how to access it. So the Missouri Valley Special Collections is a very specific type of resource, or a very specific source, I should say, for some of these materials. And this is what the results from that collection are going to look like. There are others that will take you to other collections like this that are housed or hosted somewhere other than Missouri Digital Heritage. But this is just one example of something that is indexed within Missouri Digital Heritage, but not hosted. So you actually go somewhere else to see that material. So if you wanted to find something, if you wanted to find that specific material, you'd have to get in touch with Kansas City Public Library. It looks like they only have physical copies of it, or maybe it's only available from their local machines. So you'd have to go to one of their branches or request that they send you a copy. So again, we have multiple pieces here that are from that same Missouri Valley Special Collection. And then you have this one here. It's a petition to Johnson County Citizens to Joseph Washington McClurg in 1870. And it is located in Missouri Digital Heritage hosted collections. So clicking on that one still opens up another tab, but you can see we're still on Missouri Digital Heritage site. and you can scroll down. They have a little viewer window here for the document, and you can see it is a primary document. I can stretch this window a little bit to see more of the document. You can see the cross shows up whenever I hover over the document, so I can actually hold my mouse cursor or my mouse button and drag it around if I want to do it that way instead of scrolling, or instead of widening out this window. I can just kind of move it around depending on the orientation. If it's landscape, you might have to move it from side to side. This is portrait, so you can move it up and down. You can zoom and rotate and do things like that here. You can download it, you can print it, you can do a variety of different things. Over here on the right-hand side, not every document will have multiple pages, but this one does. So you have page 1, you can click on page 2, and it will load in. And when it's all loaded in, then you can see what all is on there. You can see this is a petition, so you've got multiple names here signing the petition. And then you've got a final page of this document. But again, this is just an example of something that is hosted by Missouri Digital Heritage. So you've got the same kind of information that you had for the Missouri Valley Special Collections. You've got collection name, title, creator, subject headings. This is Library of Congress subject headings. So if you want to click on either one of those, you can see other things within the collection that fall under those subject headings. You can see a short description. Some of these are better than others. This one actually is fairly descriptive. This is a petition by the citizens of Johnson County requesting a pardon for Giles A. Woods, convicted of stealing a yoke of oxen, restitution to victim of double the value, former slave, sterling character. So basically this is folks requesting that a man be pardoned for a crime and his restitution be changed. Again, this is 1870. This gentleman was a former slave, so not long after he would have been freed. And you can also, in a lot of cases, these are the rights information is here, so copyright is in the public domain. So this is something that you could use basically for whatever purpose you wanted. You could download a copy of it and reproduce it somewhere else. You could print it. You could even put a copy of it in a database that you wanted to house somewhere, maybe here locally. We could have this document if we wanted to do something like that, because it's in the public domain. Nobody has any copyright on it. So that's something. It's old enough that it's not under any sort of copyright anymore. So this is what those kinds of documents look like if they're actually housed within Missouri Digital Heritage. Something I do want to highlight, and I haven't actually searched this one before, but we can look at, I can see Excellency is here, Your Excellency is right here. You can search for specific words within the text, and something that is a little bit longer than this document would actually be a better example of why you would want to search within a document. Maybe a long registry of names, or a long roll of maybe soldiers in a battalion or something like that, where you want to, maybe it's pages and pages of text and you want to search for a specific name. That might be a good example of something you would want to search within. But what I want to show you is, in a lot of cases, and you can see, we know that Excellency is in the document. You can see to His Excellency and to Your Excellency. We know Excellency is in the document, but it's not finding it. So what does that tell you? A lot of these documents, these primary documents, you can see the originals, but a lot of them are not indexed. So if you want to find a document by using search terms in Missouri Digital Heritage, in most cases, and I'm going to back up just to kind of show you what I'm talking about. In most cases, what you're going to want to be searching for, or what you're going to want to try and hit, is something in the title or in the descriptive text. If it's not in there, you're probably not going to be able to find it. So, for instance, just searching in the general search up here for a name, unless it's in the title of a document, it's probably not going to come up, even if you know that person is mentioned in public records or in a commonly indexed document or a commonly collected document um, in a specific collection. Even if you think they're really well known within a county or within a specific area, chances are a lot of those documents are not indexed within that document. It's the index that you're going to be searching is the title and some very specific descriptive text. It's not going to be the entire document itself. So just know that going in. And if you're searching for a specific document that you think may have information about a specific person, search for the title of the document, not for the person. That's going to be a much better way to go about doing these kinds of searches. Okay, so that's the general search functionality. Something else that you can do is just browsing through collections. One example, and I selected this one because it's within our service area, the Lexington Wharfage Register. And you can click on that collection and see a lot of the collections that are actually hosted on Missouri Digital Heritage have a pretty decent introduction and a collection, information about the collection, and then, of course, some information about rights and reproductions. And again, how it can be used. Again, this collection may be browsed in its entirety or it may be searched by title, description, date, and subject. So again, not by names, not by specific text within the document, only by title, description, date, or subject. Something that you can do if you want to search the collection, you can click that and it pops down this menu here that you can search. I'll show you in just a second where you can see this same search field within the collection itself. But most of these collections have two options, either search the collection or view. In this case, and I'll show you why, I'm going to recommend that you just kind of click search the collection, because this collection in particular just has one document. So it's called a collection, but and maybe this is a recent update. Maybe they intend to add more documents to this collection at a later time. Maybe that's why they're calling it a collection rather than just adding this one document to another larger collection. I'm not sure what their intentions are, but again, this is the way that a lot of these collections are displayed. You have a thumbnail to the document, you have the link to the document itself, and again, if you let it load, hovering over this may in some cases present you with more information. There's sometimes a description here. This one actually doesn't have anything here, but then it has information about the collection, and it just says register of accounts, goods, steamship travel at Port of Lexington, Missouri on the Missouri River. And then there's a link back to the general collection. So in this case, clicking on the document itself, or the title of the document itself, is going to bring you back to a page very similar to the one that we just saw for the other document. That you have a window, you have a viewer window, and you can zoom, you can do a text search, you can widen this window, or extend this window. There are multiple pages over here on the right, so you can click from September 13th to September 14th, 1855, and continue on through multiple pages where they're recording people and property that is being put onto ships or taken off of ships at the Port of Lexington in Lexington, Missouri. So again, within this document, we have the name Powell right here, or we have Daniel right there. I think that says Williamson. Either one of those terms is probably not, again, it's not searchable. We know it's there, but it's something that you're just going to have to browse through the document to try to find some of that stuff. The document itself is not indexed, but the title, description, dates, some of those things might in fact be indexed in the search feature or search functionality. So again, this can be a very time-consuming thing. Looking through local history is very, very time-consuming if you want to really be thorough and really pore over the details of these different documents. They do have a variety of different ways that they index things. So they do have kind of shortcuts to, okay, if you want Civil War documents, then you can look at collections and resources, or you can look at the divided loyalties exhibit. This is, again, an example of some of the things, some of the varied things that they link to within Missouri Digital Heritage. So you have things like online resources, you have collections, research guides, lesson plans. This is something for educators. We'll look at one of these here in just a second. These are actually pretty neat for some of your school teachers. They even have lesson plans. They have exercise guides in some situations. They have specific age ranges for what the recommended ages for certain lessons are. So those are kinds of interesting things. And then they have things like exhibits or events. And again, there's just a short description here. It says, drawing on more than 9 million pages of documents and court cases, the exhibit examines the upheaval and uncertainty that characterizes Missouri's Civil War history. This exhibit is currently on display in Jefferson City, Missouri, and will tour the state throughout the sesquicentennial. So you can actually click on this and see some of these, some examples of the pieces within the exhibit. And this image, I believe, is from the Capitol. I saw this when I was in the Capitol a couple of years ago, and it actually is a pretty neat exhibit. You can download the full audio tour here. Now, obviously, if you're not going through the exhibit, it is maybe a little less impressive than if you had all of the pieces in front of you as it's being narrated. But you've got exhibit highlights and things like that. So they really try to provide a variety of different kinds of materials to people. Now, another way that they index things is into collections, as I showed you earlier. You can do it by topic, media type, institution, or view all. I do want to show you by institution just to kind of show you kind of where some of this stuff comes from. So you have archives and historical societies. So you have things like Boone County Historical Society, Concordia Historical Institute. So again, another collection or resource from within our service area. Iron County, Harry S. Truman Library Museum, Historical Society of University City, Missouri State Archives, et cetera, et cetera. So Perry County, lots of different places that have taken, or historical societies have taken their collections, digitized them, and then submitted them for inclusion in this index. You've got higher education, so lots of different universities have special collections that have either been bequeathed to them on death. Maybe somebody was a local historian, or somebody of local repute. A local politician or attorney, or somebody who was just very active in the area. Maybe they've got a collection of documents that they've saved over the years, photographs, journals, correspondence with other people, things like that, that sometimes are submitted to, again, universities, historical societies, etc. And then some of those have then digitized those materials and provided them to Missouri Digital Heritage to be indexed. And a lot of these, I'll just click on this one. Again, I haven't been to this one, so I don't know for sure that this is a good example. Yeah, okay, so this is an example of, let's see, where was this collection from? Missouri State University. So this is in Springfield, and this is actually from their site. You can see delawaretown.missouristate.edu is the address. So this is material, a collection that is actually housed on their servers, but they're providing the links and some of the index of these materials to Missouri Digital Heritage so that some of these will be available when you're doing general searching. And of course, University of Missouri Columbia has a lot of different collections. It really just varies based on what kinds of focus areas they have at the university and what they've been given or what they've acquired over time. You do have some things from the Missouri State Library, so they have sponsored some projects. They'll get grants from the federal government or from the state to sponsor digitization projects, and then some of those are featured here. And again, I think a lot of these, oh no, okay, so these are still, some of these are still contributed. Yeah, these are still special collections that may have been sponsored through the state library. So maybe in this case, Kansas City Public Library got a grant from whomever, IMLS or LSTA. Lots of different federal projects can be applied for, and grants can be submitted, and they can subsidize the cost of digitizing some of these local collections. And it looks like this one might actually be, this is from Hannibal Free Public Library, but it looks like it might actually be, I'm in a link circle here. Looks like it might be, boy, what to search for. This might be a bad example, but anyway, this one looks like it might be actually hosted by Missouri Digital Heritage. And there might be something wrong with this particular collection, because I'm not able to bring up by looking at view the collection. Oh, there we go. Okay. So yeah, it looks like these are actually hosted on Missouri Digital Heritage. Now, again, it was a project of Hannibal Free Public Library. It was subsidized through the Missouri State Library, probably through LSTA or some other grant program, but they've then submitted the digitized documents and materials to Missouri Digital Heritage for indexing and hosting. And I don't know a thing about this other than the description. 4 members of the 1957-58 Douglas Schoolboy Patrol proudly display their belts and badges. They are from left to right. Oh, wow, they actually have their names. Thomas Woodson, Leon Jackson, David Gibson, Arch Allison. So this might be one of those situations where if you did search for a name, because it's in the description field, those individuals might actually be found through a general search. And why not? We could try it. Thomas Woodson. And I'll search for the phrase rather than either Thomas or Woodson, because Thomas is a common enough name, and Woodson would probably produce quite a few results in and of itself as well. And there you go. You can actually search. Yeah, you can do a general search, and because they included their names in the description, and that is indexed, you can actually find them that way. So names are not always bad, but again, I think as with a lot of searching through different databases, sometimes if you don't get someone by their name, going with more general search terms or search terms that are titles rather than the names of people who have been included is a good idea. Okay, so to continue on with where some of these materials come from. So those are Missouri State Library sponsored projects. Museums also have submitted exhibits and different materials and things like that. And this one is, what does it say? Pettis County? Yeah, Pettis County. So again, this looks like something that's hosted from Missouri Digital Heritage. I was kind of looking for another one that might be hosted elsewhere. I guess I could look at maybe a larger St. Louis Art Museum. Maybe that will take you somewhere else. No, looks like that might also be, yeah, that's also hosted on Missouri Digital Heritage. So, these are just photographs of, I assume, yeah, the American Gallery, featuring a couple of different specific pieces. So yeah, they've just taken pictures within their gallery and submitted those to Missouri Digital Heritage. But there are some, and I don't know if those are still from there. I do know, I did look at Livingston County. Some of the collections also come from public libraries. I believe Adair County also does the same thing, but Livingston County has a collection that I know is hosted on their site. So again, this is another example. It's indexed on Missouri Digital Heritage, or it's at least represented on Missouri Digital Heritage, but you actually go to the library's website to see the materials themselves. And some of these, these could be directly searched because they're actually HTML documents. They're not images of the documents. So you could actually do a find within here, and let's see. There's the word first. So you can see by searching first, you can see it's highlighting first, and there's one of 19. I can actually search within this document because it's actual HTML text. It's not an image or a PDF. So it's actually searchable. If I wanted to look for this name, William Norval, I could search for Norval, and there's only one of one. There's only one instance of that name here, but if that's who I was looking for, it is searchable. And now that depends largely upon the library who has done the work. Some of them will just have PDFs. Some of them will have full searchable text. Part of the reason that I know some of this is searchable text is because I was involved in the project of digitizing some of this stuff because Livingston County is my hometown library. So anyway, that's one example of a collection that's from a public library that is actually hosted at that library. Like I said, I think, well, I don't know. Now it kind of looks like it's going, yeah, no, that's going to Missouri Digital Heritage. Okay, so Adair County wasn't one of them. It must have been a different one. Anyway, so we had state library, museums, public libraries, schools. So Poplar Bluff Junior High School. Not sure what they've submitted, and maybe they intend to submit, but they haven't because it looks like there's nothing here for them. Special libraries, Missouri Botanical Garden, Winston Churchill Memorial and Library in the United States, St. Paul School of Theology, miscellaneous, Battle of Lexington State Historic Site, Missouri Department of Conservation, different places like that. They've also submitted things, it looks like. So lots of different kinds of institutions have submitted resources. Oh, and this is the Wharfage Register collection. So apparently that came from the Battle of Lexington State Historic Site. State Historic Site. I didn't really pay attention to the source earlier. So that document that we looked at earlier from Lexington is, we're doubling back around and seeing that by way of its institution. So yeah, lots of different kinds of collections. And again, here's an instance that it takes you to a different website. It's not Missouri Digital Heritage. So the way it's collected, the way it's indexed and things like that. And here's one they're actually soliciting you to buy some information about the St. Louis Walk of Fame, which I have mixed feelings about as a librarian, but hey, if it gets people to the right information, I suppose that's the important thing. Something else that I do want to show, I was going to show you the educational resources. These are kind of neat. There's educator resources. Before Dred Scott, they actually have a lesson plan here. They have glossary of terms, Antebellum, Missouri. Lots of really interesting, really good information. So they've got kind of a lesson overview, instructional procedures, learning goals, learning objectives. And if you're a teacher, I'm sure a lot of this would mean more to you than it would to me. Learning assessment and the target level. So this is targeted for use in 4th grade classrooms. However, it may also be used in some form for students in 5th through 8th. So you've got a lot of information here, and it's just laid out, different glossary of terms for different things that are referred to by different materials within. You've got different materials that and information about documents that from the collection, and you can see there's information here about it, and then you can actually view the actual document. You can see the PDF of the document that they're talking about within Missouri's history. So pretty neat stuff, especially if you're, again, if you're an educator within that age range. And there's lots of different things, you know, Lewis and Clark's Core of Discovery. Some of these, again, they indicate they're just PDFs, but still, you know, useful information, and you know, great for folks who are teaching about Missouri's history. Again, more lesson plans, state symbols, timeline of Missouri history, different programs. These are interesting. They're different events that you can take kids to, like for field trips, or you can maybe, in some cases, arrange to have. They'd be like outside performers. You could have them come in and do a program for you. But again, it's things that focus on Missouri history, and then sites of interest. These are all separate sites. They're different things separated from Missouri Digital Heritage, but because they have to do with Missouri and with things having to do with education, then they include them here for educators to use as they see fit. Let's see. That you can find out a little bit more about Missouri Digital Heritage if you want to know kind of how the project started and who manages it. Obviously, since the Secretary of State's information is on here, the state library has a lot to do with Missouri Digital Heritage, and it is largely a product of their labors. And then you've got quick links for maybe some frequently searched things. So you've got Missouri birth and death records pre-1910, Missouri county histories, Missouri county plat books, Missouri death certificates, official manual of the state of Missouri. So some things that are commonly searched for on Missouri Digital Heritage. Back at the collections, though, I do want to show you one thing that I find particularly interesting, and maybe not everybody does, but I think it's pretty interesting. If you're just looking for a specific type of material, going into Browse Collections and going to Media Type is really good. There's lots of great photograph collections on a variety of different subjects, and you can see they're sorted here. They're not as easy to search for. You really kind of have to browse through some of these things. This, I assume, would come up by searching for Harry S. Truman, but some things like 1951 Kansas City flood, if you don't search for the right specific things, or A.B. Nichols Panama collection, you know, if the specific location or you know, why it's important to Missouri, if that's not clear in the description, some of those would be easy to miss by just doing a search. But going through here and browsing, then you can see some of the different things that are on display, and some of these image collections are just amazing to me. You know, Capitol construction photographs; those are just amazing to me, and you can, you know, view the collection, and again, it will be indexed very similarly to a lot of the other documents that we looked at. So you've got, you know, your thumbnail, title, description, coverage, and you know, sub collection name. But they're just, you know, fascinating different images from Missouri's history, and I find, you know, in a lot of cases, photographs and, you know, different documents and things like that are maybe a little bit more interesting to a wider audience than poring over, you know, old documents. Sometimes that can be very interesting as well, but sometimes it's a long, arduous process. At any rate, that's something else that I think is also very useful, because if you're looking for something to use in maybe a publication, maybe something that you're looking for promotional images and things like that. If you want to have historically accurate or historically important images, old, that's kind of neat. An old program from a Tigers, Missouri Tigers game. And if you're looking for things that you can use, a lot of the rights information is right there on it. If it's old enough that it's in the public domain, you can download copies of these images and use them for advertising programs or talking about local dignitaries. So there again, there's another collection from about important to Harry S. Truman, establishing the Marshall Plan, things like that. There's just a lot of really interesting, really neat photograph collections within here, and again, each one of these different collections or media types has its own very interesting sub collections that I think are really neat and are worth going through. But again, it is a very dense, very complicated, and very can be very time-consuming thing to search. So again, I don't know if I indicated this earlier, but more than 9 million records can be accessed through Missouri Digital Heritage. So you can see with the variation between how things are documented, how they're cataloged, how this can be a very complicated thing to search with that many records. But it's excellent. I think it's a great thing that someone is trying to document and preserve as much of this digitally as they can, and making it as accessible as possible by kind of trying to aggregate as much of this stuff in one place. So again, not perfect in terms of searchability, because some of that stuff is not full text searchable, but it is a very good resource for people who are doing local history research, and it can be very, very useful. So that is Missouri Digital Heritage. That concludes this video. This is either the last or very close to the last video that I'm going to be doing for the first year. There's one or two others that I think we may instead do just a short instructional guide, maybe on paper, rather than a video, because there's just not much to them. But anyway, thank you very much for watching this. I hope that Missouri Digital Heritage is a little bit easier to understand now what it is, how to use it, who would want to use it, that kind of thing, and that you can feel a little bit more comfortable sharing this with your patrons. And if I don't make any more videos, I will see you at the beginning of year 2.